Newly revealed emails tonight are adding to the increasingly contentious debate over the fate of the house where four University of Idaho students were killed last fall. Emails obtained by the New York Times indicate that both the defense attorney for the accused killer, Bryan Kohberger, and the lead prosecutor have given their consent for the house at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, to be demolished by the university, which was gifted by the property owner earlier to the university after the murders. Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, telling campus officials her team has, quote, no objection to the planned demolition, having already walked the site themselves. And County Prosecutor Bill Thompson wrote to the university he too has no objection since, quote, the scene has been substantially altered from its condition at the time of the homicides, including removal of relevant property and furnishings, removal of some structural items such as wallboard and flooring, and subjected to extensive chemical application, creating a potential health hazard. These are some of the reasons that we have concluded that a jury view would not be appropriate. And that yet the majority of the victims' families have indicated that they want the house to stay standing until after Kohberger's criminal trial is over. They believe it's an important piece of evidence that jurors may want to see for themselves at some point during a trial. Shannon Gray, the attorney for Kaylee Gonzalez's family, has been outspoken about this, says the families of Madison Mogan and Xana Cronoto also do not want the house to be demolished. I spoke with Gray last week about the family's wishes and how the university has responded to them.
I think we've expressed, over and over again to them that it's important to just keep the house there just in case someone needs it. And then when the trial's over, do whatever you want with it. And the response has basically been, victims' families spend legal money to give us a legal argument on why we shouldn't have to be able to demo the house, which I find is just absolutely ridiculous.
A University of Idaho spokesperson telling the New York Times that this is another step towards healing. It is definitely a balancing act. The school says it does not have a timeline for the demolishment, though at points the university has said tear down was imminent, only to then go ahead and push back the plans. And joining me now is Mike Baker, national correspondent for the New York Times. He wrote the piece, and he is the one who obtained those emails. That was a great get, Mike. It was interesting. We knew, Mike, that they were going to demolish the house. But what's new in your emails is that it says that the house was substantially altered, that they removed some of the structural items, wallboard, flooring. It sounds like the inside of the house is very, very different than what we may have expected.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was surprised to see those things too, that there was that level of wall removal, flooring removal, and certainly the furnishings. We'd seen some of that, the mattresses come out of the home and that sort of thing. And I think that the general perception is, would a jury be looking at a scene that is close to what it was when the killings happened? It sounds like the prosecution has kind of come to the conclusion that this is a totally different dynamic inside that house now. So whatever sounds that may be happening there, may not carry like they would otherwise. On the other hand, you certainly hear from Steve Gonzalez that there's still potential here that a jury might want to see this layout, what this house looks like. It's certainly unusual, kind of rooms stacked on top of each other. And their sense of like, well, wait a second, if there's any chance that a jury might want to see this or that it could benefit the case, why take the risk and knock it down now? That doesn't make sense to them.
It's interesting. The University of Idaho has been pretty clear that the reason that they want to tear it down is because it's frankly difficult for the students who live in the area. It's right next to the campus, as you know. But in your piece, I mean, you explained that in other instances, places have been kept up. Parkland, I mean, the decision has been made, even though it's emotionally difficult sometimes, to keep these buildings standing in other trials.
Yeah, you covered the Murdoch case very closely. You remember the jurors going to that property as well and spending an hour sort of walking around, getting a sense of the scene. And in that case, you see a benefit of like how far apart are things here? How long does it take to get from point A to point B? And those things can help a jury kind of fully understand. In this case, you might have 3D representations of this house. Is that enough for a jury to fully understand the dynamics, the sight lines, how sound travels in the building. Those are sort of the questions of when does a jury sort of benefit from actually being on site versus being shown graphics or descriptions of what the site is.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.